Hi everyone, my name is Gabriella and I'm an anthropology major with a minor in ethics and social justice. And this is our presentation on what is
Hindu nationalism.
On the Hindu nationalism. Okay, and I'm gonna let Rachel introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Rachel Brown, and I'm also an anthropology major with a double minor in classic studies and religious studies. And so for our presentation on Hindu nationalism, we're going to do kind of just a little back and forth here. So first, I'd like to kind of start talking about the movie that we watched, the Vice News report, and how cows are so sacred to Hindus. This was kind of an interesting concept to me, where they collected the urine and would distill the urine and use it in medicine. They dry out the dung, use it as incense, and things like that, because these cows are so sacred and life saving. They're considered a mother cow, and so because of this, they now have independent groups who watch for cow smugglers who might be taking cows to go kill them. And they're kind of this vigilante justice kind of a thing.
Like informal checkpoints.
Yeah, informal checkpoints where they've, when they catch these guys, they often beat them, and it a lot of times turns into lynchings and murders. And so, for me, I had a hard time, wrapping my head around the fact that, this is happening over a cow. But, so I had to kind of relate it to something, at least in our country, is when you see someone burning a flag, or you see that intense, reaction to disrespecting our flag, even just the reaction a lot of America had to footballers kneeling for our flag, that's kind of, that was about the only thing that I could link that to.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Hindu nationalists there, though, they seem to have, the idea that as long as Islam is still in their country, there's always going to be terrorism in their country.
Mm-hmm.
And so to talk about the history of Hindu nationalism, I'm going to let Gabrielle do that.
Thank you. So the Hindu nationalist movement was led by the RSS. If you don't know what that is, look it up. I'm not going to try and pronounce it. So they really came into power in the general elections in February of 1998. Then in March of 1998, their leader, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Vajpayee came into power, and within less than 2 months, there were 5 nuclear bombs that were tested, which was supported and approved from both sides, basically.
Bipartisan.
Yeah, bipartisan. And just help solidify their power. And then when we talk about what the Hindu nationalists believe, they believe that the Indian nation would only be reinvigorated when its rightful proprieties, it says it like this, that the rightful proprieties, Hindu majority, resurrect a strong sense of Hindutya, which I might be saying wrong. And it is to impose a corporate of disciplined social and political organizations on society. And so that also leads into their goals, is to basically impose a disciplined political organization on society. And so I'm losing my words here, but I'm going to let Rachel talk about what the ideal Hindu citizen would be.
Yeah, so all of those goals are in progress towards the ideal Hindu citizen. And what does that mean specifically? Well, they talk about Hindu citizenship. Their culture is a public culture. This isn't a religious culture. This isn't a political culture at this point. It is just a culture of the mass public.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does that necessarily mean? Religious culture means you would be expected to pray in schools, versus teachers aren't allowed to run prayer in schools, but students can still pray in schools, versus public culture would be no prayer in schools whatsoever. Don't even think about it unless it's very like silent,
Mm-hmm.
and don't even bow your head, kind of a thing. So that's kind of where they're getting to with their public culture. Culture is loaded with terms like inscribed purity, virtuous vocation, selfless duty. So they've got these loaded terms that sound really good. Like you think you'd want these, but ultimately, Hansen says that the notion of a single ideal Hindu culture is a work of fiction, and it is the loyalty to the cause of Hindu nationalism is really only skin deep, and it's fueled by fear of encroaching Muslim, plebeian, and poor communities. So it's directed at the Muslims right now, but there are other marginalized groups in there that are going to get squashed, and eventually they will be attacked as well. And so, if anything, it is a revenge of colonial governmentality more than any representation of actual Hindu culture.
Yeah.
So, is Hindu nationalism revealing the dark side of the middle class in India?
Great question. In order to understand Hindu nationalism, we're going to need to analyze the secularism that it imposed. This kind of includes, in India, there's sedimented fears of Muslims that remain today. That's the bedrock of Hindu nationalism. It has a lot to deal with this term that Zizek, Zizek, uses, which is the ideological fantasies, kind of knowledge of the other that appears as more true than any appearance of concrete representation. So then a construction beyond argument of that person is like pretty strong. And I think that that's it, right?
Well, so is there a way that they might be able to uplift and invigorate the Hindu culture without oppressing the Muslims or any other marginalized groups?
Yes. Well, there's an instance where Modi, the current Prime Minister of India, he did a lot of work in reclaiming religious monuments, and that was to make them more of a central part of the national story. So
that would give the Hindus a little bit more narrative and being able to feel the pride of their religion that is such a big part of India.
Yeah.
Without necessarily needing to oppress any other groups, they could have religious national monuments the same way we have national parks in America, and so that's one idea.
Yeah. And to kind of add on to like what's been said is the support of Hindu nationalism. It's due to a lot of the promises, which Rachel did like talk about, and so basically like the three promises that they are promising is order, discipline, and collective strength. So when you think about that, and like in the 1980s, how am I going into the 1980s?
Yeah.
I mean, I just said it. So
yes. Yeah. No, I think that's great because right now I think what Hindu nationalism is promoting is a sense of pride in their country.
Yes.
And that's where we're getting to the 1980s with the satellite TVs.
Yes. Okay. So with the 1980s spread of satellite TV, and then it showed also that India's entanglement in global economic and cultural flows, it really questioned India's place in the global order. And so it was basically signifying a national crisis to the Hindu nation. And yeah. Can you help?
That was a great description. Yeah. I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
The other question, I think the final question I really have right now, over all of this is, they talk about how the democracy, this is almost a revenge of colonial governmentality.
Yeah.
And so I'm just curious what a non-secular democracy could look like.
Yeah.
Is there a way India could manage to have a Hindu-based democracy that can still protect the other minorities within their country without having to? And so that's what I'm just curious what that might look like.
Me too. I agree. Okay.
I think that's about
I think
it.
that's I think that's all we have. Thanks.
So we look forward to hearing your guys' thoughts.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.